Prison officers, have you ever met an inmate you respected greatly? In my 15 years working at maximum security, I met thousands of inmates, but none like Omar. He was serving 25 years for shooting someone during a robbery gone wrong. The thing is, he wasn't the shooter. His brother was. But Omar took the fall because his brother had 3 young kids. The first time I saw Omar, he was teaching another inmate how to read in the library. Not unusual, except this was at 3:01 a.m. See, Omar had worked out a deal with the night guards. He'd help clean the cafeteria after hours in exchange for using the library to tutor guys who were too embarrassed to be seen learning during the day. I remember asking him why he bothered. He looked at me and said, "Everyone deserves a chance to write letters home to their mama." Simple as that. What really got me was how he handled the gang stuff. We had major problems with rival groups, but Omar somehow stayed neutral. One day, 2 gangs were about to go at it in the yard. Omar walked right between them, pulled out a chessboard, and challenged both leaders to a game. Said whoever won would get his dessert portions for a month. These tough guys, covered in tattoos, actually sat down and played. By the time they finished, they'd forgotten what they were fighting about. Omar lost his pudding cups for 2 months. Turned out he'd eat bicet. Promised it to both sides. "Pudding's cheaper than blood," he told me later. He started this thing called Mama's Kitchen in the cafeteria. Once a month, he'd convince the kitchen staff to let inmates cook recipes from home. You'd see these hardened criminals carefully, writing down their mother's recipes, arguing about the right way to season collard greens. But here's what really got to me. Omar had this notebook where he kept track of every inmate's kids' birthdays. He'd help guys with no money make cards out of whatever they could find. Coffee stains for paint, threads from their uniforms for one decoration. Some of the toughest inmates I knew would get teary-eyed when their kids wrote back. 8 years into his sentence, his brother confessed. Omar could have walked free, but he refused to leave. Said too many guys were counting on him. His brother had gotten clean, had a steady job. The kids were doing well in school. "Some cages aren't made of steel," Omar told me. Then came the riot. 2 gangs fighting over territory. In the chaos, a young guard got cornered. Omar stepped in, took a blade to the gut, saved the guard's life. As I was putting pressure on his wound, he just kept asking if everyone was okay. He survived, but that changed things. The warden couldn't ignore it anymore. Omar's case got reviewed. Turns out there had been evidence of his innocence all along. After 12 years, he walked free. The day he left, half the prison population lined up to say goodbye. Even the gang leaders were crying. One of them, this huge guy covered in swastika tattoos, hugged Omar and said, "You taught me my daughter's favorite bedtime story." Omar just smiled and said, "Don't forget it's little Jessica's birthday next week. I left the card template in the library. We still get letters from him." He opened a boxing gym for at-risk kids. Guess who his best students are? The children of his former inmates. Every kid there knows how to read, write, and play chess. Last month, I drove past his gym. The sign out front reads, "Some cages aren't made of steel, but all cages can be opened." Yesterday, the brother who let him take the fall died of cancer. In his will, he left everything to Omar. Know what Omar did? Turned the inheritance into a scholarship fund for inmates' kids. Now, when I see inmates causing trouble, I just direct them to the library. Omar's not there anymore, but his chessboard is. There hasn't been a gang fight in that room. In my 15 years working as a prison officer at maximum security, I encountered thousands of inmates of every kind. I've seen hardened criminals, violent gangsters, broken men, and those who found themselves trapped by circumstances, but none left such a profound and lasting impression as Omar. Omar was serving 25 years for being involved in a robbery that went horribly wrong, resulting in a shooting. The thing that always stuck with me was that Omar wasn't the person who pulled the trigger. His brother was. But Omar took the fall. He made a choice, a sacrifice I still can't fully comprehend. His brother had 3 young children, and Omar believed they needed their father more than he needed freedom. The very first time I saw Omar was during an unusual hour, 3 a.m. in the prison library. Most inmates were asleep, but Omar was up, sitting, patiently with another man, teaching him to read. This wasn't a common sight. Omar had struck a deal with the night guards. He would clean the cafeteria after hours, and in return, he was allowed exclusive access to the library to tutor inmates too ashamed to learn during the day. When I asked him why he went through all that trouble, his reply was simple and touching. Everyone deserves a chance to write letters home to their mama. It was impossible not to respect such a grounded compassion. Omar was also a master at navigating the dangerous dynamics of aita, gang rivalries that often erupted in the yard. Our prison was notoriously volatile, with tensions high between rival groups. One particularly tense day, 2 gangs stood face to face, ready to come to blows. Without hesitation, Omar calmly walked between them, producing a chessboard from his bag. He challenged the leaders to a game of chess, setting the stakes high. The winner would take Omar's dessert privileges, his precious pudding cups, for a month. The tough, tattooed gang leaders actually sat down, engaged in a battle of minds instead of fists. By the time the games concluded, old grudges evaporated. Omar lost his pudding for 2 months, mainly because he had foolishly promised the prize to both sides. Pudding's cheaper than blood, he shrugged. That moment summed up his approach. Peace over violence, kindness over conflict. Omar's compassion extended far beyond game nights. He founded an initiative called Mama's Kitchen, where once a month, inmates were allowed to cook recipes from their childhood homes. What I saw there was incredible. Men who'd spent decades behind bars, carefully copying down their mother's recipes from scraps of paper, earnest debates about the perfect seasoning for collard greens, and laughter that felt as genuine as outside these walls. In a place filled with despair, those few hours brought light and a sense of home. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about Omar was the notebook he carried. In it, he recorded every inmate's child's birthday. Without money or supplies, Omar would help inmates create handmade cards decorated with coffee stains for paint and threads pulled from old uniforms. I witnessed many of the toughest prisoners weep when they received letters back from their children, warmed by the simple gesture Omar facilitated. 8 years into his sentence, the truth finally came out. Omar's brother confessed to the crime. Omar was eligible for release, but he refused to leave. He explained to me, "Too many guys here count on me. My brother got clean, got a steady job. The kids are doing well. Some cages aren't made of steel." His words stuck with me for years. Then, tragedy struck. A riot broke out between rival gangs, fueled by old grudges and desperation for control. Amid the chaos, a young guard was trapped and cornered by inmates armed with makeshift weapons. Omar didn't hesitate. He charged in, taking a blade wound to the stomach as he saved that guard's life. While I applied pressure to his bleeding wound, Omar asked about the safety of others. His bravery changed everything. The warden could no longer ignore Omar's heroism. An in-depth review of his case revealed evidence proving his innocence long before, but it had been overlooked or suppressed. After 12 years behind bars, Omar finally walked free. The day Omar left, nearly half the prison population lined up to say goodbye. Even fierce gang leaders who kept their distance from others shed tears. One massive inmate, covered head to toe, in intimidating tattoos, including swastikas, hugged Omar tight and said, "You taught me my daughter's favorite bedtime story." Omar smiled gently, reminding him, "Don't forget Jessica's birthday next week." I left her card template in the library. Since walking free, Omar has become a pillar in his community, opening a boxing gym dedicated to at-risk kids, especially the children of former inmates. Every child who walks through those doors learns to read, write, and play chess, thanks to Omar's patient teaching. I drove past his gym last month. The sign above read, "Some cages aren't made of steel, but all cages can be opened." Yesterday, I learned Omar's brother, the one who betrayed him, had died of cancer. In his will, he left all he had to Omar. What did Omar do? He turned that inheritance into a scholarship fund for inmates' children, continuing his legacy of hope. Now, when I encounter troublemakers in the prison yard, I send them to the library. Omar isn't there anymore, but his chessboard remains. Since he's left, there hasn't been a violent gang fight in that room. Not one. Story. She gasped. Oh my God, how did you get this wedding photo? When I showed her the album, I said, same place you hid it. When she realized the photo proved her first marriage was never annulled and our wedding was invalid, her shock turned into panic about bigamy charges. I, 35 male, discovered something about my wife Veronica, 33, that completely destroyed our 7-year marriage. We've been together for 9 years total, married for 7. Or at least I thought we were married. 3 weeks ago, I was helping my mother-in-law, Dorothy, move into her new apartment. She downsized after her husband passed last year and asked me to help clear out their attic. Veronica was at a work conference that weekend, so I went alone. While sorting through boxes, I found this old trunk hidden behind Christmas decorations. Inside was a wedding album, a really nice one, white leather with gold trim. I opened it, expecting to see Dorothy's wedding photos. But nope. It was Veronica in a wedding dress I'd never seen standing next to some guy named Garrett. The date on the photos, 2 years before we met. Now, I knew Veronica had been engaged before. She told me about Garrett early in our relationship. Said they were young, stupid, got engaged, but broke it off before the wedding. She made it sound like they never went through with it. But these weren't engagement photos. This was a full wedding. Church ceremony, reception, cake cutting, first, dance, the whole deal. There were even honeymoon photos from what looked like the Caribbean. I took the album home and started digging. Found Garrett on social media pretty quick. Dude's living 3 states away, remarried with kids. I messaged him trying to be casual, asking about his history with Veronica for genealogy research. Lame excuse. But whatever. His response made my blood run cold. Oh man, Ronnie and I got married young. Biggest mistake of my life. She just disappeared one day. Left a note saying she needed to find herself. Never signed the divorce papers I sent. I had to wait 5 years to get it dissolved for abandonment. 5 years. We got married 4 years after she left him. When Veronica got home from her conference, I had the album on the coffee table. The way her face went white when she saw it, I'll never forget that. She literally stumbled backward and grabbed the door frame. Where did you get that? She whispered. Your mom's attic. Same place you hid it. Apparently, she tried to play it off at first. It's not what it looks like. It's a wedding album, Veronica. Your wedding album to Garrett. That was annulled. I told you about it. Really? Because Garrett says differently. Says you never signed the divorce papers. Says he had to wait 5 years for abandonment. That's when she gasped. Oh my God, how did you get this wedding photo? You talked to him. Yeah, I talked to him. And guess what? According to the dates, you were still legally married to him when you married me. The panic that crossed her face when she realized what that meant. That our marriage was invalid. That she could face bigamy charges. It was like watching someone's entire world crumble. You can't tell anyone about this, she said, her voice shaking. We can fix this. We'll get remarried quietly. No one has to know. No one has to know. Veronica, our entire marriage is a lie. She switched tactics, then went from panic to anger. You had no right to go through my mother's things. That was private. Your mother asked me to help her move. And private, we're supposed to be married. There shouldn't be any secrets like this. The next few hours were brutal. She went through every manipulation tactic in the book. First tears, saying she was young and scared and didn't know how to tell me. Then anger, claiming I violated her. Privacy, then bargaining, promising we could work it out if I just kept quiet. The real kicker came when she finally admitted the truth. She knew the annulment never went through. She knew she was still married when we had our wedding. She figured enough time had passed that it wouldn't matter that Garrett would have handled it by then. Do you have any idea what you've done? I asked her. Our marriage license is fraudulent. Our taxes for 7 years filed fraudulently. My insurance that covers you fraud. This isn't just about us, Veronica. This is about potential criminal charges. You're overreacting. People make mistakes. Mistakes? You knowingly committed bigamy. That's a felony in this state. She tried to leave, then said she needed space to think. I told her she could have all the space she wanted, but the album was staying with me. That's when she got nasty. You think you're so perfect, Mr. High and Mighty. You want to destroy my life over some technicality. Technicality? Our marriage. Being invalid is a technicality? I chose you. Isn't that what matters? I laughed. Actually laughed. You chose me while legally married to someone else. That's not romantic, Veronica. That's illegal. Update 1. Holy hell, this escalated fast. After our confrontation, Veronica stayed with her sister Mallory for a few days. During that time, I did what any reasonable person would do. I protected myself legally. First, I consulted a lawyer, not a divorce lawyer, because technically we're not even married. The lawyer's face when I explained the situation was priceless. He literally said, "In 30 years of practice, this is a first for me." Here's what I learned. In our state, bigamy is indeed a felony, punishable by up to 5 years in prison and $10,000 in fines. The innocent spouse, that's me, can also sue for damages. Plus, all the legal documents we've signed as a married couple are potentially fraudulent. While Veronica was gone, her family started calling me. First, her mom, Dorothy, crying, saying she had no idea the album was in her attic. She thought Veronica had gotten the annulment. I believe her. Dorothy's good people. Then Mallory called, and this is where Veronica's entitlement really started showing. Apparently, Veronica told her family that I was being vindictive, that I was threatening to ruin her life over paperwork issues from before we met. She made it sound like I was the bad guy for being upset about our fraudulent marriage. Mallory actually said to me, "Can't you just let this go? She loves you. Why does it matter what happened before?" It matters because we're not legally married, Mallory. It matters because she lied to me for 7 years. It matters because she committed a crime. God, you're such a drama queen. Just get remarried and move on with someone who lied to my face for 7 years. Hard pass. Then came the text bombardment from Veronica. I'm talking 200 plus messages in one night. Everything from "I love you" to "you're ruining my life" to "if you ever loved me, you'll..." Keep quiet about this. My favorite was, "I gave you the best years of my life, and this is how you repay me." I responded once, "You gave me 7 years of lies. Please stop contacting me until you're ready to discuss this with lawyers present." That's when she went nuclear. Update 2. Veronica showed up at my work. I'm a project manager at an engineering firm. Pretty boring job, but good stability. I was in a meeting when reception called, saying my wife was there with an emergency. I knew it was BS, but went to the lobby anyway. There she was, dressed to kill in this red dress I'd bought her for our 5th anniversary, or what I thought was our anniversary, holding a box of my stuff from the house. "We need to talk," she said loud enough for everyone to hear. "You can't just throw away 7 years. This isn't the place, Veronica. You won't answer my calls. You won't meet me. What choice did I have?" I took her outside to the parking lot. That's when she pulled out a manila envelope. "Divorce papers," she said. "From Garrett, dated 6 months ago. See, we can fix this. We just need to get remarried. Backdate some things." Backdate? You mean commit more fraud? It's not fraud if we're fixing a mistake. Veronica, those papers are dated 6 months ago. We've been married for 7 years. That's 6 and 2 years of bigamy. She actually stomped her foot like a child. Why are you being so difficult? I'm trying to fix this. You can't fix 7 years of lies with more lies. Fine. You want to be like this then? I want my share of the house. I want alimony. You want alimony from a marriage that doesn't legally exist? Good luck with that. Her face turned purple. You think you're so smart? I'll tell everyone what kind of man you really are. How? You emotionally abused me. How you isolated me from my friends. Veronica, I have the wedding album. I have messages from Garrett. I have 7 years of fraudulent documents with your signature. You really want to play the victim here? She threw the box at my feet. You're a monster. I made one mistake. One 7-year-long mistake. I hope you die alone. She stormed off, but not before teeing my car in full view of our security cameras. Real. Smart, that one. But here's where it gets interesting. Remember how I mentioned I did some digging? Well, I found something else. Veronica's been filing taxes as married filing separately for 3 years, claiming deductions she wasn't entitled to without my knowledge. She's been using her married status to get benefits at work, better insurance rates, family leave she wasn't qualified for. My lawyer says this is bigger than just bigamy now. This is tax fraud, insurance fraud, and potentially theft by deception. I didn't want it to go this far, but she keeps pushing. Final update. It's over. Or rather, it never began. After the parking lot incident, I filed a police report for the vandalism to my car. The security footage was crystal clear. Veronica was charged with criminal mischief. But that was just the beginning. My lawyer contacted the district attorney's office about the bigamy situation. Turns out they take this stuff seriously. Veronica was formally charged with bigamy, filing false documents and insurance fraud. Her lawyer, paid for by her parents, because of course, tried to negotiate. They offered to pay me a settlement if I didn't cooperate with the prosecution. My lawyer laughed, actually laughed out loud during the call. Your client committed multiple felonies, he said. My client is the victim here. We're not taking a payoff. The IRS got involved when they found out about the fraudulent tax filings. Veronica owed about $18,000 in back taxes and penalties. Her parents ended up paying that to keep her out of federal prison. But the best part, remember Garrett, her actual legal husband? He was pissed when he found out she'd been using their marriage for financial gain while he'd been trying to move on with his life. He sued her for emotional distress and fraud. His lawyer subpoenaed me as a witness. During the deposition, I learned so much more. Veronica had taken out credit cards in their joint names after she left, maxed them out, and let them default. Garrett's credit was destroyed for years. She'd also claimed him as a dependent on her taxes the year she left, getting a bigger refund. Garrett's lawyer asked if I wanted to join the civil suit. I declined. I just wanted out. The criminal case was settled with a plea deal. Veronica pleaded guilty to attempted bigamy, reduced from bigamy, and filing false documents. She got 2 years, probation, 200 hours of community service, and had to pay $5,000 in fines. She also had to write letters of apology to me, Garrett, and the court. Her letter to me was something 3 pages of how this was everyone's fault but hers. How Garrett was abusive. He wasn't. I've seen the police report she filed and withdrew. How I was controlling. I wasn't. She had full access to everything. How her family pressured her to remarry. They didn't. They thought she was divorced. The last paragraph, though. I hope you're happy destroying my life over a piece of paper. I loved you more than anything, and you threw it away for your stupid principles. Enjoy being alone with your righteousness. I'm not alone, though. I started therapy to deal with the betrayal. Joined a support group for fraud victims. And honestly, I'm doing pretty good. I've started dating again, being extra careful to verify nobody's currently married. Obviously, Veronica lost her job when the fraud charges became public. Last I heard from Dorothy, she's living with her parents, working retail, and telling everyone, I ruined her life because I'm vindictive. Garrett sent me a message last week. Thanks for exposing her, man. My wife and I were having trust issues because of what Veronica did to me. Seeing her finally face consequences helped me get closure. You did the right thing. I did do the right thing. It wasn't about revenge or being vindictive. It was about not letting someone get away with 7 years of lies and fraud. It was about protecting myself and making sure she couldn't do this to anyone else. To anyone reading this who's been betrayed like this, document everything, get a lawyer, and don't let them gaslight you into thinking you're overreacting. Fraud is fraud, whether it's committed by a stranger or someone you loved. And Veronica, if you're reading this, and I know you read it stalk me through your friend's account, I wasn't destroying your life. You destroyed it yourself the day you decided to marry me while still married to someone else. I just refuse to help you cover it up. Edit. Since people are asking, yes, this is real. Yes, I have all the documentation. No, I'm not sharing identifying details. And to those saying, I should have just worked it out. Would you stay with someone who lied to you every single day for 7 years? Who made you an unwitting accomplice to fraud? Who, when caught, tried to destroy your reputation and vandalize your property instead of taking responsibility? Didn't think so. Edit 2. The house we lived in was mine from before the marriage, so there was no division of assets. The joint bank account we had was frozen during the investigation, and the funds were distributed based on documented contributions. She got her portion, I got mine. Clean break, legally speaking. Emotionally, that's what therapy is for.